Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. It is time we start telling the story of Kingdoms Forlorn. This is a insanely ambitious game with so much going on. And I'm going to do my best to break down and talk you through the different stages and elements and narrative pieces of this game. The mechanics, the engines, and the two different versions, the two different ways you're going to be playing. You're going to be going on delves, which is like the dungeon crawl exploration genre of the game, and then having a series of showdowns. Here we're already set up for a skirmish with a mob, which is a unit or a separate, disparate unit of different creatures. And then we have the Ignite over here, which we're not fighting right away, but he's the final boss in this prototype. Now, I've spent the last 12 hours or so reading the rulebook about 3 times, talking with the publisher back and forth, digesting iconography, playing through multiple stages of this first, 2-part scenario, and resolving a few questions that I have. And there's one very important reason for that. This is a prototype that I'm working with. I mean, not only is this a prototype that I'm working with, but the rulebook that we have is a prototype rulebook. I just printed out the most updated version of it. It just now is getting images and iconography and everything to the point where people like me who have no experience as part of the development team can actually run. If you didn't see that, just slid off the table slightly. It's getting to the point where people who are not part of the development team can actually run and start digging their fingernails into this game, and I have been cutting my teeth on it for a good long while. You can check out the vlog that's going live Saturday, tomorrow, showing off the process of learning a prototype that no one else has coverage on. So, here's the thing. There are some important caveats I need to make at the beginning of this gameplay video. First, about the game, the way I'm covering the game, and about how you can find out more information. And let's start with that latter point first. After I finish this, I'm going to be posting and sharing with the publisher. And the publisher has agreed to go into the comment section as soon as they're able to and leave a comment clarifying and correcting any and every mistake I make, or at least the major ones, right? Because there will be mistakes in this gameplay. This is the first gameplay out. The feeling, the flow, the way the game is intended to be played, I have down to a bite. But the strategy behind every card and managing 4 characters, along with extra buffs and development across the board, there's a lot happening here that without that caveat, I wouldn't be able to cover this right now. Being said, if you're excited about Kingdoms Forlorn and you want to see what this game is all about, how it's going to function on the table, and what you're signing up for, I can tell you and show you that. I know enough about the gameplay to get this up and running. Now, the other caveat that I need to make is around the way I'm going to approach covering Kingdoms Forlorn in this gameplay video, and potentially in future ones. You see, the prototype that I have in front of me is designed around 4 people playing. Every character has their own interlocking narrative and really in-depth story that twists and turns and ties together with the entire party, but I can't run 4 disparate stories here on camera. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is one character booklet. This is for Sir Saunch. This is going to be the character that I'm playing through in this scenario. And all of this text is his actions, reactions, resolutions, story arcs, and there is a prototype right now of about 70 pages worth of story and narrative and arcs for all 4 characters combined. Along with that, we're playing through one of various different worlds they have in this game, specifically the Principality of Stone. So in this kingdom, in this Forlorn kingdom, you have interweaving narratives. You have characters with their own upgrade progressions and pathways and stories. And you have the story of the larger world and settlement. So the way I'm approaching this is not quite how the game in the prototype form is intended to be played. You see, I'm going to focus heavily on one character, and really have everyone else play second fiddle. That means that some elements of this game might be slightly more challenging for me, because I'll be going up without a party of strategy. Instead, I'll be focused primarily on Sir Sanch's strategy with supplemental elements and honestly, a bit of scarecrowing and sandbagging coming from the other three characters. In an actual 4-player game, everyone would be strategically interweaving their characters to make the most out of every single action and event. Now, there is intended, once this game actually arrives to you, for this to be a solo 2, 3, and 4-player game, not just with one person running everyone, but honestly in a similar fashion to what I'm doing now, where one player is able to focus on their single character's narrative, and they have side characters or a party that help them with skirmishing and fighting and resolving, but they're not the focus. So those rules aren't refined yet, they haven't been fully developed yet, and I don't have them here in a working prototype. So the best I can do is my own version of some supplemental conditions, because honestly, from the amount of skills and abilities and tactics that we have, not including the story that I would have to read and share with you all, this is like jumping into probably Giga Lion level when it comes to Kingdom Death, like a 10 to 15 year Lantern Year campaign with upgrades, items, abilities, unlocks, disabilities, advantages, fighting arts, all of those modifiers, and learning 4 of those at the same time and running a functioning game is a lot to handle. So, with those caveats out of the way, and to any of the other reviewers out there watching this gameplay to get your feet into it, make sure you check that comment down below just to see what I'm still overlooking. With those caveats out of the way, I'm going to try to take my time to walk you carefully and precisely through how this game functions. And you might see me grab the rulebook from time to time to check an icon or go through a sequence of events. And I'm not going to apologize for doing that. I want to display this the best way possible because there's a ton of cool things happening here on the table, and I'm really excited for the final version or to see what this game becomes. There's a lot of stuff here that's reminiscent of Kingdom Death. I mean, the best way I would describe this would be a unique twist on the AI deck and boss battle system of Kingdom Death merged with, instead of a settlement, heroic narrative and stories and an actual dungeon crawl system, which is cool. It's a combination of dungeon crawl, boss battler, and heroes, right? Your big, overarching, weird, twisted narrative tales, which is exciting. Okay, so with that, I think it is time to start playing Kingdoms Forlorn. And I'm going to start here by talking you through the 2 different stages that this game operates under, okay? So to start with, we're going to have a Delve stage. Delve is going to have us going through a series of encounter cards, which have their own narrative elements and affect characters depending on who's resolving them in very direct and personal ways. In comparison to Kingdom Death, for instance, it would be the hunt track, except extended and merged with a dungeon crawl style aesthetic. Here we're going to be flipping a series of progressively bigger cards, gaining traits and relics as we do so, and doing our very best to accomplish our own personal mission. Whether we're hunting for a lost girl or doing our best to fight the prey at the end of the track, we all have our own personal objectives and narratives, and they might come into play from time to time on how we decide to resolve the Delve stage of this game. To simulate that, I'm not always going to focus on what's best for Sir Sanch. You see, Sir Sanch is doing his very best to collect all 6 of these tokens I have placed off to the side. These are going to be different investigation tokens and resource tokens that you get through the exploration phase of the game. But everyone else wants something different or something similar, and so I'm going to make counterproductive decisions just like other players would when it comes to my own personal story. Now, in this Delve stage, we're going to be cycling through a total of, I believe, 8 event cards. At the bottom of this deck, we're going to go over into the Showdown phase, where we're actually going to be able to fight with a creature. And the game does a cool thing with this. You see, the game constantly escalates. Everything you're doing is giving you better abilities and buffing you, but also having reciprocal consequences because of that. So here, I'm already pre-set up, and you wouldn't normally have this, but I'm already pre-set up for the showdown with the Ironcast Dead. This is going to be armored skeletons rising from the graves and coming to, fight us as the mist descends around us. In this phase, I will be taking down a series of this mob. I'll be drawing AI cards that are going to affect each one, and I'll be resolving 2 at a time with every scenario, and then my characters will get a chance to get a movement and an activation ability, taking whatever attack and move they're able to utilize, and playing any number of a series of ability cards they have in their hand. Now, these ability cards are super cool because one side of them deals with the delve, the dungeon crawl element, and the other side deals with the showdown element. Why is that neat? Well, because you might spend cards in the delve phase to help you resolve or accomplish or get somewhere or just keep the game going. And those cards might be in refresh, they might be in the pool, they might be out of the game by the time you get into the showdown. And when you come to the actual clash, when you come to the actual fight, you might not have all the cards you need, but those cards level up and change. I have an entire pile of these cards that I didn't even get to use because I'm set up with these starting cards in gear, but there's a way to escalate the game where you select your hand size and you have a whole arsenal of different ability cards, weapons, gear that you could bring out on your own personal narrative, and you're supposed to be able to utilize those to jump into any of the varying worlds, which for me is super cool. Now, the other unique thing about the showdown is going to be the cross between the mob and the boss. In the very first showdown here that we're going to actually show off in this video, we're going to be fighting a mob, where the object is to take down a certain number of these units, 5 in this case. But each unit also might escalate, because we have a whole deck of cards that deal with their body parts, or their body part locations. And that's going to be the same for the boss. The boss is going to be a single large character that we're fighting, but there, instead of targeting single units of a larger mob, we're going to be targeting his arm, his leg, his cracked skull, because he's an egg boss. And you're going to be able to weaken them and do damage to them in each one of those separate areas. Here's the thing. As you cause damage, as you do wounds, they're going to escalate alongside you. So you're going to get more powerful as a player, gaining prestige and power and really starting to level up. But the counter to that, the concern that you need to be aware of, is every time you do a wound, their AI deck is also going to level up, meaning instead of getting weaker as the game goes on, they're actually going to go in the reverse. They're going to get stronger, more powerful, and escalate to a cataclysmic finish, where either you finally take that last swing and chop the head off of an ironclad, or they're able to pin you to the ground and shove rusty spikes through your chest. Any number of gruesome elements. So that's the core flow, that's the core structure. Now let's break down a little bit about what we have in front of you. We have exploration cards over here. We have the AI deck and our Mortis cards here, which are going to be resolutions that happen every time we take a wound. We have our main boss character card here, which is going to control their main abilities and reactions for the mob. We have each one of our mob units listed up top here. There's 8 total on the board, and our hero figures in the center. Over here, we're going to have where our tokens go into a shared pool that everyone can utilize. These are going to be buffs and debuffs for various stages of the game. I have my 3 characters that I'm not focused on during this scenario, who each have full books, just like this one. Over here to the side, we have Renholder, we have Flesh Eater, and we have Kara. And I also am going to have their health and status tracks over here as well. Now, I am going to try to run them as close to fully as I can when it comes to like their health, their buffs, etc., etc. But my main focus is going to be here with Sir Sanch. Sir Sanch is going to have a hand of starting cards, 7 total if I counted right. We're going to have our general abilities, which is going to be 3 different status. We have our power, or sort of like how good we're doing, the escalation status. This token should not be on there. We have our heat, which is going to be a countermeasure. It's an interesting thing where you gain heat as you do more and more powerful attacks, but that heat is also going to leave you open to different vicious attacks coming back at you in the showdown phase or the clash phase. And then we have our health. I also am equipped with a rusty shield, a dented breastplate, and a broken sword, which doesn't sound fantastic. And I have some specific abilities that we'll go over once we actually get to the clash phase. Here in my hand, I have my pile of cards. And like I said, one side of these cards is clash, one side of these cards is delve, and I'll read through these abilities in just a moment. I think, though, now that we've established everything around the table, we should swing into a little bit of flavor text because it sets the foundation for this game, and then begin playing. Alright, we're going to start with Sir Sanch's Nightbook. Character Introduction. The night is dark and foreboding as Sir Sanch rides at full tilt through the countryside. It is as if death itself compels him to haste, though he is not running from it, but giving chase. As he cuts through the thick stalwalking forest, whipped mercilessly by heavy branches, nocturnal animals howl all around him, a mournful threnody foreshadowing what awaits him at the end of the road. He tries to remain hopeful, and if hope is found wanting, then resolve will do. Resolve in the calm of a knight at peace with his fate. Yet this is not his fate that is at stake, is it? If only he can get there in time, he never does. All he sees is a giant winged shadow soar above his estate, while his legacy is consumed in black flames. This is the demo version of the Nightbook containing the first chapter of Sir Sanch's campaign. The full Nightbook will include more than a dozen chapters, including a progressively branching storyline based on player choices, both conscious and mechanical, as well as other in-game factors, unique knight interactions, side quests, and secrets. Okay. Chapter 1. On Black Wings. "A young lady's fate is in your hands, good sir," the messenger blurts out. You stroke your impressive snow-white mustache and feed a date to little sir. No, the messenger is dumbfounded. "Good sir, it's the daughter of Count Wolfgang von Braun that is in mortal danger. Lord, you need to learn perspective. I have tracked quarries for the Order of St. Clair since long before your papa learned to use the chamber pot. I do not get up because a pretty young lady is in peril. If I think about it, these days I do not get up for any reason whatsoever. Isn't that right, little sir?" You turn towards your monkey companion, who chirps in agreement. "That's right." "Sir Sanch, please, my master will whip me if I don't return with you." "Truly sorry, cannot be helped." The messenger shifts from one foot to another. "Then, my master instructed me to say this. Rung Ung." You freeze, then slowly turn towards the boy. "Well now, lad, why didn't you lead with that, then?" Orang Ong, the jet-black dragon of legend, one of the first dragons, predating the Black Fog by an age, the ultimate foe. You accept Count von Brahm's invitation. Your Patreon is a pale, somber man on the verge of breakdown. He looks like someone who would do anything to get his daughter back. Madness peeks through an invitingly open mind. As he explains his predicament, you simply nod. "Isel is taken by the poor knight's road, a day ride from Heckenheim. Hochenheim. Bandits, presumably. Though I do not rule out foul play from another house, things have been on a downward spiral since the fog began to lift." You hum knowingly. "So close to the deep fog, pray tell, what was she doing there?" "I," Count von Braun mutters, averting your eyes. "My dear Count, if you can't be honest with your daughter's would-be savior, how can you expect her to ever be returned? Out with it." "I cannot." "Then with a heavy heart I must decline. I have bested many a night in my time and tracked many a quarry, but a dishonest foundation cannot sport the Tower of Trust. I have come here lured by the prospect of hearing about our great Orang-Ung. What I now suspect was a clever ruse on your part, my interest uncovered for all to see and exploited most sinisterly." "I hear you like to talk, Sir Sanch," the Count says coldly. "I like my actions to talk for me." He extends his bony hand and drops a tarnished stone coin on the table. As it lands, it makes an audible thud, as if it weighed more than it looked it should. A St. Urbain obol, charred but recognizable. "And there it is," you exhale, sitting back. Little Sir is quick to snatch the coin from the table and bring it to you. Too kind, my friend. When you inspect it up close, it looks just as genuine as when it first landed on the table. "Well, my dear Count, it seems you've hired yourself a tracker." On the poor knight's road, utter carnage awaits you. Maimed bodies are rotting where they had been thrown. Weapons and pieces of armor litter the highway. The carriage is lying on its side, split open like a pumpkin. Torn cushions and curtains, and the shreds of the illusion of safety are the only thing left inside. No bandit did this, you surmise. Over the years, you've developed a habit of thinking out loud, as if talking to your monkey companion. We're in for a real treat, my nimble friend. Maybe there is some enjoyment to be had here after all. Little Sir saunters around the scene while you search for clues. Eventually, you find a small pouch filled with lavender and dried orange blossoms. The kind a woman would keep under her petticoat. And beyond that, between two bushes of wild blackberries, footprints, surprisingly human. It looks like someone was dragged away that way. You mumble, licking your lips. At least 3 armed men. Hear that, little sir? Clankers. The tracks lead to the very edge of the deep fog. High stone towers loom in the distance, like a specter of ruin. The principality of stone lies beyond. There are rumors of people turned to stone, of earthquakes so violent they buried entire cities, of monsters so foul and terrible, one look at them could kill you. No sane person would venture forth. But sanity is luxury of less talented, more pedestrian individuals. Knights like you, they take the plunge. So, you are ready to start the delve. If other players are also ready, you may begin. Now, you could read it out loud to the entire adventuring party, or you could read your own and surmise it for people to hear. Everyone doesn't need to know your personal narrative journey, but this is why I'm not reading flavor text for every single character, because that much incredible story exists for every single one. And trust me, over the coverage that we're doing, you will get a chance to experience all of it. But for this video, we're just going to explore Sir Sanche. Okay. You are ready to start the delve. Important. Check the delve progression and additional rules below. Delve progression informs you the progress of your quest, often prompting story encounters during the delve. So, special rules and objectives. We're going to be fighting level 1 Vassal, the Eggnite, and level 1 Mob, the Ironcast Dead. Objective. I need to find Von Braun's daughter, Isel, on the outskirts of Principality of Stone, so you can resume your lifelong quest of hunting Orang-Ang, the Dragon of Legend. Remember, bandits will try to remain hidden while monsters of the kingdom walk in the open. I need to gain at least 4 errant clues and 2 historic clues in order, and then win the boss clash. So my personal objective are these tokens over here, and I want to finish the game by defeating the boss. Delve progression. After I gain 2 errant and 1 historical, so 2 green, 1 yellow, immediately see scenario 1001. After you gain 4 and 2, immediately see 0004. After you finish this delve's boss clash, see 0007 to reveal your character's outcome. Again, every character has this. Additional rules. Whenever you enter a new kingdom card with an empty point of interest, you may lose 1 vigor, which is my health, to place 2 opening tokens, which is a status effect that everyone benefits from. That point of interest becomes scouted, meaning it's been used. When you move to a monster clash, place all tokens from scouted pulls into the night pool, meaning it's the track that we then get to utilize throughout the course of the game. So, there's my foundation. There's my narrative pathway. Now we need to start the delve. I have the event deck already planned here. I have our character tokens, and I have our start card. Now, you're not going to be able to see this too clearly on these small cards, so I am going to go ahead and flip one of these big ones, and then I'll reshuffle them. But I want to show you a little bit about what we're doing. So, these cards are going to start lining up adjacent to each other. And in each direction, north, east, south, and west, we have different exits that we can take. They will have a variety of different iconography, some of which is going to increase our curses and threats, some of which are going to be the exploratory tokens that we need to acquire, and everyone has the goal of finding, some of which are going to dictate what type of card we explore onto: large, extra large, medium, and small. Now, small is going to lower our threat, medium will raise our threat by 1, large will raise our threat by 2, and extra large will raise our threat by 3. There are a few ways we can lose the game. If we ever get to the point where we cannot draw and explore a card, we've lost the delve stage. If we ever get to a point where all characters are lying on the ground dead, we've lost usually the class stage, but it could happen in other scenarios as well. And if we get to a point where our threat reaches maximum and exceeds it, or our curses reaches maximum and exceeds it, which are going to be on this track right here, we've also lost the scenario. Now, the game fails forward as far as I can tell, so if you lose, you still read the progression and see what your escalating failure has cost you, but the hope is that we're not going to fail. Along with that, each of these places are also going to have the title, the incredible artwork, extra bonus tokens that you might collect when you exit and enter into one of these locations, and a potential location indicating that a boss could be there, the dungeon lair of the Ignite, or and a location, a little signpost that shows that you're going to be able to have a point of interest, which is the thing that I already established I could interact with if I wanted. Now, the odds for all of these cards are going to vary with whether or not it's going to have a boss, have a point of interest, so on and so forth. Now, every character, including the 3 that I'm kind of running as dummy characters, actually have their own narrative through line, both in this exploration deck and also with the advantages and abilities they have here on these cards. So just like I have the ability to interact with a point of interest and get benefits for the Showdown or for the Clash phase, all of them have their own unique feature and ability. I'm not going to feature all of those because it's a lot to manage. But let's take a quick look at the different cards I have in my hand to see the abilities that I can take throughout the course of play. And I might, every now and then, check and substitute some of their cards as if they're playing them as well. So, in the Delve stage, I have Cunning. If you were to place, if you placed at least 3 opening tokens on the Kingdom map, place this card in your play area. At the beginning of the next clash, each knight may gain 1 power and move up to 2 spaces. Then discard this card. If the threat level reaches 9+, immediately discard this card from your play area. Okay, interesting. So tokens, opening tokens are going to be certain status effect tokens over here, and this will give me the ability to kind of manipulate and utilize them. Saunch Tactics. Shuffle the exploration discard pile and draw 1 card at random. Look at it, then place it on top of the exploration deck. So a little bit of information on what we're exploring or where we're exploring into, because where you are could have a big impact on, well, the effect or the resolution of the exploration cards. Distraction. When you are about to gain a curse, lower your health by 2 to ignore up to 1 curse gain. Okay, could keep the game going on a little longer if at the cost of your health. Gain 2 heat to reveal the top exploration card. Again, getting a little bit of information and buffing our heat up, which is good. We're doing more powerful things. It's the price we're paying, but the higher that gets, the better the odds are that we're going to have some consequences because of it. Advanced Knight Tactics. When you're about to draw an exploration card, draw 3 exploration cards instead. Choose 1 to resolve, discard 1, and put the last one back on top of the deck. That's actually very nice because it helps us cycle through the deck, but the problem is that card goes straight to the discard, which means when we actually get to the Clash phase, we won't have that card to utilize, which is not... I mean, I kind of want all of my powerful cards, or as many of my powerful cards as possible, to resolve the fight. Okay, so starting here, we're going to have the first player marker over here on Sir Saunch. He'll take the first action. And there's 2 directions I could go. I could go down south, which would give me a small card, or I could go up north, giving me a yellow token, which is a token that I need, and a medium card, which is going to increase our threat by 1, and I gain the benefit, or I gain the effect, only of the card that I'm passing through. So not the card that I'm entering. Now, each one of these cards has northwest, south, and east, and you must line them up so south connects to north, etc., etc. So we're passing up into the Merchant's District. We don't gain whatever effect was on the southward-facing part of that card, and there's nothing else on this card to resolve at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and draw an exploration card. Phantom Thief. Each knight loses 1 clue of the type they have the most of. If a knight cannot lose a clue... Oh, by the way, every knight that needs the appropriate clue will gain the clue. So just for happenstance, we're going to say he's going for yellow-red, blue-yellow, and let's do green-red. So these are going to be the decisions that our other characters are going to want to make. I didn't take the time to look up which each one is hunting for specifically, but for instance, Kara here, who's hunting for yellow, will have gained a yellow trait because it's what she needed, and we passed through that exit. We pass through that doorway. So both of us have one of our desired traits. But here in this card, each knight loses one clue of the type they have the most of. So we're each going to lose our yellow trait, which is disappointing. If a knight cannot lose a clue, they add a card to their delayed hand instead. Place those clues in the farthest unused point of interest, which currently there is none on the board. If there is no point of interest, clues are lost, and each knight gains +1 power. So I'm going to go up here on power. Kara is going to do the same. These two, because they were unable to utilize or discard one of their tokens, they're each effectively going to take one of their cards and add it into their exhausted card area. Now, what does that actually do? When you have a card in your exhausted card area, when you get to the clash phase, you're going to be able to move those delayed cards into your sync location. Then your sync location is going to bring up one card or two cards at a time, depending on what your refresh rate is. So you have this cycle of whatever card you spend may take an activation or two in order to get back into your hand so you can utilize it again. So this is meaning that when we start the clash, those cards won't be immediately available to use. Otherwise, when you travel onto the Kingdom card with these clues, regain them. We don't get to do that, and the extra effect, if we had our threat at 8+, we would gain 1 curse, which is another endgame condition. We do not, so this is going to pop up here. I'll move this deck up a little bit, and now we get to pass the first player marker, which let's go ahead and designate. It was over to me. We're going to designate Renholder here, and Renholder is looking for red and blue. So there's an exit here that would give us a large card, 1 curse, and yellow. But that's not going to benefit Renholder. Renholder is going to want to go west, which is going to give us red. Red is only needed by 2 of our party, and it is not Sir Sanch. So I'm going to give these two the tokens that they are looking for, according to my rules, and we're going to flip a medium card, which is going to raise the threat by 1. You also might do that early on with the knowledge or assumption that other people will have to mediate how that threat is escalating as the game progresses. So west connects to east. We have a craftsman district here. We're moving on to this location. And that's going to be it. We gained that. Now we need to resolve an exploration card. So during the next travel step, choose your travel direction at random. If it is impossible to travel in the chosen direction, each knight loses 1 health instead. Then choose a direction as normal. And if our fear or threat was 7+, we'd travel in a random direction for 3 consecutive delve rounds instead. That's terrible. So what does a random direction mean? We're going to roll a d10. It is north, south, east, west. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is going to be we get to select. So a 9, so we still get to make the decision here, and it's considered still a random direction. So moving first player over to Kara. Kara wants blue and yellow. Now on this pathway, there is only red that would technically give us an extra ability, because when we backtrack, we wouldn't gain the ability from that location we're leaving or entering. Usually isn't good to backtrack. You kind of want to explore as much as possible. So I think Kara is actually going to choose to go north. North is going to draw a small card, and that small card is going to lessen the threat by 1, because there wasn't another location that directly benefited her. It did benefit the rest of the party, but we'll mediate that a bit. So we have a tower road, which is good. So we're going to shift this down a little bit because we're going to be going up to a medium card here soon, unless, of course, we're forced to backtrack. And let's draw a card to resolve for Kara. Follow the meat. Resolve a kingdom adventure. Fleshritter is the party leader for the adventure. He gains 2, either gains 2, what status is this? 2 health. He doesn't need health. Or places 1 Flashix, which is a resource token, onto the night sheet. Okay, so, and it's onto his night sheet, so he's going to gain that ability. That's going to be a token that he can spend for some special abilities down the road. So, we are resolving for him. Now, we are going to resolve one of the Principality story events. So he's going to roll 2 dice, white being the high number, so 35. Now we're opening this up to the number range of 35. Let's see here. This is one for sorrow. As you sit by your campfire, hunching to try and banish some of the chill of the evening, you become aware of a subtle noise in the branches above you, a low croak followed by the ruffling of feathers. You look up to see a crow perched on a bare branch, its beady eyes glimmering orange in the firelight as it tilts its head to look down at you. There's a fluttering of feathers, and another crow alights next to the first, and another. Soon a small flock has gathered, all transfixing you with their glares. As a group, you could choose to chase them away, or you could choose to ignore them. I'm going to choose to chase them away. Let's see what happens. He doesn't seem like a guy that likes being stared down by crows. There's a reason why a gathering of the corvids is called a murder. You feel uncomfortable with such an ill portent over your head. Taking up a stone, you fling it at the nearest bird, missing by a hair's breadth. But it is enough to send the feathered fiend swooping away. His kin soon follow him. The air around you fills you with indigent squawks before, as quickly as they'd arrived. The crows are gone. Still a little unnerved by the encounter, you turn in for the night. Gain +1 curse. Okay, great. So we're being cursed slightly. One night gains +1 mystic clue. So, what does this mean? Well, every one of our characters has a character sheet. And these are going to be areas where you write, fill out, keep track of your death count, your choice matrix, so on and so forth. There's so much here that, you have to kind of mitigate. So here we would make a note that we are gaining the mystic clue, I believe. I'm checking that one more time just so I make sure I get it correctly. One night gains +1 mystic clue. So that is actually not what I was talking about. It's good that I've introduced this, but I was noticing that these have anger, drive, hope, despair, fury, courage, endurance, courage, wisdom, and cunning, which is not mystic. Mystic is going to be a clue token. Mystic is going to be, I believe, the yellow clue token. Do I want to confirm that? I probably should. Why not? I told you that I'd be double-checking the rulebook and terminology as we played, and I make no apologies not to do it. Mystic is actually the blue clue token, which means it's good that I checked that. So, blue, Renhold does not need blue, but Kara does. So we're going to go ahead and give Kara the blue benefit, and that is going to resolve that event and that kingdom book. We're going to move this down. It is going to be Fleshider's turn. He's going to move up, meaning that we're gathering green, which is good for both Sir Sanch and for him. And we're going to be drawing a medium card, which raises our threat by 1. Okay, this is going to pop in here. South goes to north. We're moving in. We are at a craftsman's district. Here in this location, it looks like we have a crafting option here as well if we had the game progressed to a certain point where we can take advantage of the cities that we're in. But we're not at that point right now. Instead, we're just going to go ahead and resolve an event. Stonequake. Place a Panzer Gate on X paths, where X is your curse level. 2 paths. Okay. Panzer Gate is completely impassable. Now, we do have abilities that allow us to mitigate or get rid of this, but I don't think we need to use them right now. I'm going to go ahead and place down a Panzer Gate on 2 locations. Starting from the path you use to travel onto your current kingdom and going clockwise, stop when there's only one valid path. Clockwise does the opposite, the one that I actually didn't want to be used. And then if we had 7+, we would also gain a curse. Here's the thing, I'm going to use an ability card now because the lead player is coming over to Sir Sanch, and Sir Sanch wants to go that way because it's going to get me a green token. So, I'm going to use the ability called Coordinate. Lose 2 health or discard this card to remove 1 Panzer Gate. I kind of want to keep my health, so I think I'm going to go ahead and trash or discard this card to go ahead and lift up that Panzer Gate, which means I can now travel the direction I want to go, which is going to give me a green clue, which is fantastic, and we're going to do another medium card, which is going to raise our threat again by 1, and I cannot forget about our guy over here, Sir Flesh, because he also wants green clues. Moving over, we have the Noble District. Now, because I'm filming, this is also a little unwieldy in areas, because I wanted to try to do everything on the table at once. Of course, that'll get better. Noble District. Gain the green clue. There is a point of interest on this card if I happen to want to interact with it, and when I get here, I'm going to have to resolve an event. But looking at the other locations we can go, the only reasonable exit is potentially a large gaining blue, which doesn't help me, but it does help some of the other characters. They'll probably divert to that. Okay, the event. Panzer Gate. Place a Panzer Gate on the path used to travel into this kingdom. So, I opened the gate with a little bit of convincing, and the gate slams shut behind me. So, swinging over to Renhold. Renhold wants red and blue, and does not have any blue yet, and does not mind moving into a giant location. So, it's exactly what he's going to do. We're going to pull a large card, which is going to raise our threat level by 2. He kind of laughs at the party a little bit, because we're going to have to deal with or mitigate for him down the road. And we have a All-Father Church. That is epic. When he moves in there, he's going to gain a blue token, and a Panzer Gate is going to slam shut behind us, meaning this whole pathway here and that point of interest we never utilized, that is going to be closed down. Now, I could have utilized that point of interest with my character's ability. And I think I kind of want to. So let me just remind myself what that was. If I wanted, I could lose 1 vigor to place 2 opening tokens. I want to do that. I'm going to lose 1 health in order to place 2 opening tokens over here on this main board. Now, opening tokens are going to help my initial targeting when we start fighting the creatures, so they're really good to have, but they only are used for 1 round or one sequence of combat, because during a refresh phase, they'll actually come off. So, we move on to this location. This location has a bonus green token for everyone that needs green, which is great for 2 of us. And technically, right now, this guy here with the massive horns, one of his story events would be triggering. So we would all take a little bit of a pause, and he'd resolve an event that was directly in line with whatever adventure he's on. And we'd be affected by that, make decisions because of that, the group would change because of that, and then we'd zoom back here onto the table, and we'd continue exploring. So in this location, we have a dungeon lair, we have a point of interest where I could do another one of those actions, but I think I'm going to hold off for now, and they don't technically go here immediately. They technically go on the card first. So, Panzer Gate slammed back down. I think we are ready to continue moving forward. Am I correct? Or did I miss something? No, I've missed something. I did not resolve a card yet. Wind of Petrification. Place the party marker on the closest unused point of interest, if there is any. Party marker's already there. Fantastic. And if we were 7+, a random knight petrifies 1 gear slot. That is terrifying and not what we're looking for. Okay. So, stepping over to Kara. Kara wants yellow and blue. There is no yellow here, but there is an exit that will lead to blue. So I'm going to once again shift these cards slightly because I am apparently deciding to explore the whole way across the table. And we're going to step over here to the west. This is going to be a medium card. We're going to raise our threat level by 1. Remember, 10+ is going to murder us. And here we have another Craftsman's District. We're going to gain a blue because of that. So again, right now, Renhold would actually trigger his story event as well, meaning he's progressed with part of his mission. We step over onto this location, our threat went up, and we're going to resolve another encounter. Errant Foresight. Reveal the top card of any kingdom deck, matching the paths available in your current kingdom card. If there's a path with a green clue on the revealed card, you must travel on to the next travel stop. Resolve a kingdom adventure. Sir Sanch is the party leader for the adventure. So I'm going to reveal the medium west, because that would also give me a yellow, which would be fantastic. And if there is a path with a green clue, there is a path with a green clue, so we are definitely going to be traveling that way after this. That's the decision we have to make, which is fine, which is great, because we're actually going to trigger Sir Sanch's narrative. Now we need to do a kingdom book, though, which is going to be the high and low, white being the high number, 73. Oh, I need the story. Oh, no, this is the correct one. Let's see what we have here. 73, a shack in the rubble. The rubble fields spread as far as the eye can see, buildings ground into jagged debris of fragments, cast into sand and silt and gravel. At once a monolithic and extremely volatile, like a city turned into a quicksand pit. Here and there you notice sinkholes that look deep enough to swallow a night hole. On your right, a path made out of long planks has been laid out. On your left, a decrepit shack made from rubble. Perhaps you'll find something of use there, but the shack is surrounded by sinkholes you might have to wait around, losing precious time. As a group, choose. Do we explore the shack or continue your journey? So I want to continue the journey, but it does sound interesting to explore the shack. I think I'm going to continue the journey, though, because that is what Sir Sanch would do. You jump your way across the plank bridge until you have crossed the rubble marsh. Before you leave, you take one last look at the shack in the distance. You might have just missed something important, but you don't have time to spare. Each knight loses 1 vigor. Okay, we're all going down 1 health. Sir Sanch, that includes you. Each knight loses 1 vigor, but raises their heat limit by 1, then lower the threat level by 1. So threat goes down, and our heat level, like I said, our heat level is fantastic because it lets us do super cool, amazing, awesome, powerful abilities, but also the higher you get on that, the more potential for danger you're going to have. Okay, the next location we're moving to is going to be here, resolving, stepping over, raising our threat level by 1 because it's a medium card, and gaining a yellow token for Kara and for Sir Sanch, which is going to trigger his first narrative pack. So, when I gain 2 errant and 1 historic, immediately see 100. Dust swirls around your every footsteps, small clouds of debris lifting skyward on the utterly still air. To some, the sheer silence of the principality may have seemed daunting, even intimidating, but not to you. Do not fret, my dear friends, you pronounce, tapping your immense nose knowingly. When the night tracker picks up the scent, he doesn't relent. Problem is, one of your companions rudely casts apprehensions on your work, or tracking a few different individuals. Which scent are you tracking? The egg-shaped knight? Ah, you exclaim, looking for the right words that will brush the truth, while still passing it by unassumingly. Well, yes, the round knave never leaves my mind. The rogue is close by, too, as the more hunt-inclined of our party can attest to. We just need to be careful, you add, trying to intently to follow Von Brahm's daughter's trail and not the Egg Knight's. A jagged structure looms ahead, casting deep shadows. Once some kind of chapel, maybe. A small fortress of tombstones surround it, the names long lost in the scouring winds and billowing dust clouds that frequent the more open spaces of the Principality of Stone. Little Sir leaps from your shoulder, sealing a particularly tall epithet. His beady little eyes scour the surroundings. Ho! See something, my fur-clad friend? The Egg Knight prowls the kingdom's highways, while the highwaymen may be tempted to sulk in the back alleys. You may lose 2 vigor and or raise threat by 1 to treat your current kingdom card as 1 size smaller or larger for doing each. Then, depending on your kingdom card size, see small or medium, or large or extra large. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go with the medium resolution. So, 002. Worth taking a look, what? You chuckle, beckoning for your comrades to join you. You amble forward, moving under the shadow of the chapel's partially collapsed roof. What awaits you inside is a sinister sight of a congregation of figures frozen in time, a petrified crowd clustered in ancient pews, all turning their faces in supplication to the pulpit, now lying empty. A swell of pity fills you. Desperate individuals looking for a cure, turning to any source of solace. Had the preacher been able to deliver at least some succor into this dark hour, you wonder. Or was it all false platitudes designed to hoodwink and deceive? Poor buggers, one of your companions volunteers. Matters of the soul should best be left to men and women of the cloth, you remark, diplomatically. Poor buggers, though. A shape shifts among the statuary, and Little Sir is already in motion. He bounds from the statue to statue before throwing himself to the shifting figure, chattering threateningly. You rush to the aid of your furry friend, sword out and at the ready. You level it at the stranger's throat, tossing your head back boldly. Now, 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 you speak loudly, commandingly. Let's be having you. No funny moves, please, or the Little Sir might get a bit bitey. The figure goes still as the statues that surround it. A quick flick of the tip of the blade pushes their hood aside, revealing a emaciated face. Advanced signs of the curse of the principality taking hold within their flesh. Already a tide of stone has crept across their lower jaw, sealing it shut. It will not be long before they are fully consumed by it. I mean you no harm, you say, softening your voice a little. I just need some information. I'm looking for a young lass that was taken through these parts recently. Some unsavory fellows would have been escorting her. Seen any like that pass through here? The beggar ponders for a moment and slowly nods. Soon you're back on the road with a new lead. Gain +1 edge. If the threat level is 6+, gain +1 curse level. It is 6+, or discard 1 exploration card you choose. Let's go up in curse, and I gain +1 edge, which is going to be on here. So I have 1 edge. I'm going to go ahead and mark that on my character sheet. Like I said, edge is going to be a status that helps resolve the end of your mission, even if you didn't happen to directly succeed, let's say. So that was the move, that was the resolve, that was that action plus the extra action. We're almost to the point where we're engaged in a showdown. I've done about half of what I need to do to actually accomplish my personal story, and it looks like everyone else in the party has done about the same. So no one's getting to the very end, but everyone's progressing a little bit. And again, each one of these characters would have had their own little narrative through line just like that. So we could step over, we could step down, we could step up. We might want to step down as the last action, go down south a little bit, which will mitigate a bit of the threat that we have because it's climbing a little bit high for everyone in the party. So we're going to do that. This comes down to a crossroads. Our threat level goes down by 1 because we're on a small card now. And we're going to resolve the very last. Panzer Gate. Place a Panzer Gate on the path you use to travel to this kingdom card. Another gate slams down behind us, and we are locked off from the world that we just explored. Now, there's another 8 total exploration cards that we get to go through in order to continue this delve, accomplish our mission, follow through with a narrative through line. But now that we finished the very first set of exploration cards, we're past the first half, and now we're going to be doing a showdown here on the board against the first AI, or the first set of AI cards we're going to show you. So I'm going to set all of these cards, and I have the camera of it. I should technically keep them all in order, or keep them all somewhere where I can reference them. But for now, I'm going to move them off so I can focus a bit on showing you all a effective boss battle. Now, we also have this track over here, which is going to be special abilities that we can utilize. Okay, this steps off to the side. So, who are we fighting? We are going to be fighting the Iron Cast Dead. And the laws of fear bit hard into the people of the principality, and they sought refuge in places of iron and chains of steel. And the fabled automail of the Wickest family, for naught, the curse did not spread by touch. They died like they lived in their armor. What manner of witchcraft animates them now? That's who we're fighting. So, they have a hit of 7+, meaning we need to get 7 or plus to connect with them, a movement of 5, and we need to take out 5 of them in order to accomplish this mission. Now, the way the AI deck works, what I've already went through and set up is I shuffled the designated amount of strength that they have and placed them up here. Each one of these cards that we don't know, we haven't revealed it yet, has a certain scale of how much damage we need to do in order to effectively collide with them or effectively hit them. And all of our cards are now going to flip over to the clash phase. I've already set up the board, I've already set up the terrain, and it's time to resolve. And we're just going to dive into this because they are going to act first. We're going to identify number 1, which is this guy over here. You can see the little cube in front of him that I've placed to indicate that he's going first, and we're flipping our first AI card. Now, the AI card is going to have some information on it. We're going to have our targeting, our moving and attacking, our after attack effect, which doesn't matter if you block it all or not, that'll still trigger, and how many dice we roll in order to hopefully evade this collision. So, let's see here. Amass. Target. Closest engaged knight in range. Engage would be someone that is directly next to you. There's not going to be a target there. Closest knight in front in range. So, that is going to be Kara here. So, 1 is going to move forward, the full movement. Move and attack. Each hit does 1 damage. Then we're going to do the swarm ability and the knockdown ability. I'm going to be rolling 3 dice, needing to dodge on an 8+. So, not the best. We have 5, 3, and 8. Now, I could also go ahead and do things like spend or gain heat in order to escalate, in order to dodge a little bit more effectively. I think I'm going to do that on one of these dice. So I'm going to give Kara 1 heat to go ahead and roll. Again, 10. Cool, so I'm going to be dodging 2 of them. It's not a perfect dodge. And she does have a few abilities here. So, question is, what abilities does she have? Spend 1 action, or spend 1 power to place 2 cantrip tokens in the night pool. Spend 1 power to block 1. When you fully miss an attack, place 1 power and 2 cantrip tokens in the night pool. Okay. Gain 2 health to tip 1 of your gear cards, to refresh 1 of your gear cards. Spend 2 power while you are about to attack with a catalyst weapon to gain an additional die for the attack. Gain 2 health to move 1 space, or 2 heat to move 1 space. So, nothing that's directly going to help mitigate this damage. I think I'm just going to have to take the hit. So, she is going to go ahead and take a single point of damage, and then she is going to be knocked down. So she will stand up at the start of her turn, I believe. Let's go ahead and double check the status or the terminology for knockdown, which is going to be right over here. Knockdown. Gain the knockdown, falling down condition card and place a miniature on your side. If knockdown is caused by an attack, it affects you only if you're within the effective range. If it's caused by a response, it affects you only if you're within the adjacency. So, knockdown is going to be a condition card. Let's see what it says. Knockdown. If you perform voluntary movement, attack, or use an active ability, tip this card to stand up. At the start of your turn, tip this card to stand up. If this card is tipped by another effect, stand up. So, I can, at the start of my turn, I will be able to trigger and stand back up, which is nice. Okay. So that's the first creature. Now, after attack, if no other knights in zone 2, meaning there are no other knights within a range of 2, which there are currently, escalate the lowest unrevealed mob. Escalate means everything's going to level up and get worse. Luckily, we're not going to have to deal with that. Okay, so this goes to the AI discard, and the second AI is going to be drawn. We'll move that token down. Every token is going to activate once. So knight number 2, which is right back here, is going to trigger a rusted slash. Target closest knight in front in range, which is going to be this gentleman. So he's going to move right up here forward. Move and attack. Now, if this individual, if Renholt here had 4 heat, these attacks would do extra damage, which he doesn't, so we're going to be okay. Each hit right now is going to do 1 damage, and then there's going to be an after attack of gang up. So, rolling 3 dice, like this says, to try to dodge this, on a 9+. So I need perfect 10s in order to dodge. That is going to be 1. Now, I could spend heat in order to try to draw up. I could also use my breastplate, which is going to give me a heat, to redraw a Mortis or Judicium card, which is your death card. So there's not a lot that I could block. Okay. So right now, it looks like my best ability might be some abilities. Spend 1 power to gain 3 health, which is going to be 1 Flashix to gain 3 health. When you're about to perform a power roll, gain 3 heat to add 1 die to your power roll, or gain 2 heat to move 1 space. So none of those are immediately going to help me. We are already going to go ahead and take that hit. Now, one important thing that I didn't resolve, like I said, there'll be a few caveats here. Every character has their peril deck and their heroic arc. When a character activates, they're going to up their prestige or their power or whatever it is, and that is going to let them get better effects and abilities on their heroic arc, which is the blue icon you see here. Everyone, when they get hit, is going to draw based off their peril. So, Kara knocked down to 9 health, which means she is going to draw a minor. Her heat limit is 4, and she's going to draw a minor peril card over here, a Mortis card. Misdirection. Place 2 cantrip tokens in the knight pool. 3 if you're a Ren holder. So she is not, but we are going to go ahead and place 2 cantrip tokens up top into this pool. And I need to double check and make sure that I know exactly what a cantrip token is. So the thing I was reaching for is a charge token. A cantrip token is going to be a token that's going to turn into a break or a point of interest after this is resolved. So, 1, and let's find the other. Could have had these more organized, don't you think? So this is going to pop up here as well. Okay. So that's actually a good thing. It's not always that good things are going to happen from these Mortis cards, but every now and then, sometimes it does. So this attack, each hit is going to deal 1, so that's going to be 2 damage to Flesh over here, dropping him down to 10, and forcing him to also draw another minor card here. Butcher's Touch. Ooh, this is actually his personal one. You may gain 1 power, 2 if you're Flesh Ritter. Nice. So this is actually going to help him. So he's going up, which is going to give him more activations and abilities when it actually gets to his turn. I should be discarding these. I don't think we're going to go through the whole deck. If we do, I'll shuffle, etc., etc. Okay, after attack, Gang Up. Gang Up is a status effect here on the Ironcast Dead. When triggered, turn towards the target. Move towards the closest other mob in front, pushing the target before you X spaces along the shortest path. Stop when the target is adjacent to another mob. So, he wants to go ahead and target and then shove me, but we're only going to be able to go. The target cannot push characters through other places with miniatures or obstacles. It must resolve any terrain tiles it moves through. So he shoves me backwards. He's doing his very best to identify and start getting us into a group of them. So that's the second one activating. Hopping over into the discard pile. And now it's our turn to go. And I think we might want to go ahead and start with Fish Ritter here, because he's going to be able to do some damage. Now, looking up here, I know that if I'm able to take out number 7, who is right here, I'll be in a good position, because number 7 is the strongest of the bunch, but also worth 2 out of the 5 we need to get if we're able to take him down. But let's start here. Let's go 1, 2, 3. We're going to attack number 3 here. Or do I go straight for number 1? We'll get there. Okay. He is going to up his power level by 1 because we are activating him first, which means when he attacks, he could go ahead and get a break token or a point token and another Flashix token over there on the main board, which is nice. He is then going to go ahead and resolve an attack. We're going to be targeting number 3 here, and we're going to be using the rusted two-handed sword, which is a heavy hitter only. Break 2, pushback 1, which is going to be the after effects that we get to utilize. Attacking costs 1 heat. Okay, so we're going to up our heat by 1, which is fine. Hit, miss, break 1. Okay, so the way this now works, we first need to establish whether or not we're going to connect with a hit. So we need a 7+ on the Ironcast. We're going to be rolling 1 die here with the rusted two-hander, but I might have cards that I could play. I could, let's see here. Nope. Rend is going to be based off of utilizing it for a powerful attack. So let's go ahead and roll and see if we can connect. That is going to be a 1. That is going to be a direct failure, which is not going to allow us to connect. Now, the one thing that I want to check is when I am doing an attack, I want to make sure if I'm able... There's some things that you're allowed to reroll, and there's some things you're not allowed to reroll. And I want to make sure which one. Roll a number of attack die. You can use opening, which we have 2 of, or addle tokens in the night pool to gain additional precision, which it wouldn't help us in this case. You can also re-roll your die by gaining 1 heat. I'm going to go ahead and gain that heat, moving him up to 2. I'm going to re-roll this. Now we have 2 opens, and these tokens, these cantrip tokens, are supposed to turn into something. I'm going to do 1 break and 1 open, meaning right now we've got 3 open. So that modifies the iron cast, brings their 7 down to a 4 that we actually need to hit on. That is going to be a 5. 5 is going to connect. So we've connected. Now hit does not mean murder. Hit means we get to flip the card and see who it is we're fighting. The Mindless Detron. We need to hit on a 5. We need to do 5 total damage to take this guy out, and then there's going to be wound effects and more terrible things that we're rending. So, the way that works, we have 1 successful hit. That successful hit is going to be multiplied, by our ability here. So we are going to -1 on the rusted 2-hander. That's not nice. We're going to be rolling a black and a red die, along with my standard red die. The black and the red come from the sword. My standard red die comes from my own personal player board or ability. And I think we're going to go ahead and try to use one of these. Let's see what we're able to do. Gain 3 heat to add 1 die to your dice pool. What is my heat limit at the moment? I'm currently at 12 health, 11 health, 10 health. Heat limit is going to be 3. I will not be able to utilize that card, sadly. But when I refresh, I'll actually drop my heat back down. So let's go ahead and roll these 3. We're looking for a total collision of 5, but sadly we're going to lose 1 because of the rusted 2-handed sword. I need something that benefits me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I could use if I had multiple break tokens. I don't. That is going to be a failed hit. So when you reveal this body point, escalate the lowest unrevealed mob. So fantastic. AI and battle pressure. So unrevealed, this one is going to transform into a level 2 mob. Fantastic. So they've just gotten a little bit harder. And our AI here, 1 AI card is going to be removed. This deck is going to be shuffled with a brand new level 2 AI. So again, they've just gotten a little bit harder. So that pops back up here. Then I failed to wound, draw an AI for this mob. So the AI is actually going to respond. Perfect, just what we were looking for. Target closest non-engaged knight in range. So the closest non-engaged knight is going to be Sir over here. So we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not going to reach him. Cannot successfully move an attack. And after attack, he will do his best to gang up, which is going to be pushing me backwards, I believe. When triggered, turns towards the target, move towards the closest other mob in front, pushing the target before you, X spaces along the shortest path. Stop when the target is adjacent. Now, I don't know if this would happen if... I know after damage or after attack happens no matter what, but he's not adjacent to me, so he actually can't, like, lunge and grab onto me, and he'd have to move a little bit weird. So I'm going to resolve this like he doesn't actually move forward here. I could be wrong about that. I am sure comments will be left down below. So that was one character's activation. And we did not successfully kill anyone. We need to take out some of these people. I think we're going to go ahead and activate with Renholder. And I'm going to go straight for the big guy. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so straight for number 7 here, the strongest person. 8 total damage in order to successfully take him down, but we have some abilities that hopefully will help us out. So let's bring over a few of these cards and traits. So, and she is actually the one who was knocked down, not him. So, Renholder. Now, each of these characters also have they have on their board abilities too, which again, I'm not managing. I already know. I'm acknowledging that I'm not managing every aspect of the strategy of this 100%. Right? I'm trying to show you how the game operates. So, where is his fancy card? It is this. I have their piles in the wrong area. Okay, so in order to do this, we're going to be rolling one die, hopefully connecting. If we're able to successfully connect, that would be awesome. So let's see what other cards we have here. Gain 1 heat to place 1 opening or break token in the night pool. Okay, so we have 3 point tokens. We could do a break token. We have 3 opening tokens, which means we're going to lower the standard that we need down to 4. I might want to break, though. I don't mind using that. Cantrip tokens in the night pool. Block 1. When you fully miss an attack, place 1 and 2 cantrip tokens in the night pool. Gain 2 heat to refresh one of your gear cards. So here's what I'm thinking. We're going to spend 1 heat. This card goes into a refresh cycle. We're going to spend 1 heat in order to go ahead and put another break token up here in the night pool, which will help us wound, possibly, potentially. I'm not even sure that I can get enough die to do this, but we're certainly going to try. So we're going to be using the Poor Man's Catalyst, spellcaster only, unwieldy, range 2 to 4. So I actually didn't need to move. There, I can hit him from there. Cantrip 1. Okay, and if it wounds, this is going to be exhausted. I can also use the Broken Sword, though. And the Broken Sword has a potential reroll. I'm going to move forward and just use the Broken Sword because it has more strength and a potential reroll. So let's do this. 3 is not going to be enough. We're going to spend a heat in order to reroll this dice. Actually, yeah, 3 still would not be enough. That is a 9, and 9 is successfully going to be hit. Sadly, I don't have anything like luck in this game, so it's not going to be a critical hit, which would have been amazing, but it is going to be a hit. So now we're doing the math on how we get up to 8 damage. We're going to be rolling 2 red dice. We're going to be rolling another red dice for my character specific, and we have a bonus of 2 at the moment. Now, I don't think we have anything else that is going to give us bonuses, so although we did gain 1 power, so that means at the start of this, we could add a cantrip token up here to this location. Okay, let's roll. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 more, which we have the break token that we need to turn that goblet into an actual hit. 8 is going to slaughter this person. So, success. End of enemy round. Escalate the lowest unrevealed mob. We're not on the enemy round. Escalate AI. Draw AI for the farthest mob. So we are going to escalate one of these AI cards into a level 2. So we'll step 1 off to the side. We'll plop a level 2 down. We'll shuffle them again. Okay. And we're going to cause someone to rise, but we're going to knock this person off. And this is going to be worth, that's amazing, because this is going to be worth 2 to the total 5 that we need to do to damage on the board here. Now, the farthest mob is going to be this one up here, I believe. So we're going to go and draw AI for them. Bones of the Kingdom. Target closest engaged knight in sight. So that, this is the closest engaged knight in sight. Closest knight in sight. So the closest engaged knight is going to be down here. We're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He moves down there. He's not going to be able to reach, but he does start rushing forward in our direction. And things are becoming a little stressful. Okay, 2 more characters to act. And we need to knock out just a few more of them. So let's go ahead and activate with Kara. Stand her up, and she's just going to straight up fight number 2 there. So these go over here. And yeah, she's going to go ahead and attack this one. We were looking for a 5 damage in order to take it out. We're going to be utilizing the dulled spear, but the cool thing about this is we now get to roll 2 dice in order to successfully get a hit. 8 and a 6, that is going to be 2 hits because we needed the 4+ with the point tokens. Now here's the nice thing. The next modifier is going to be 2 dice instead of 1 because it's times the amount of successful hits you have. So We're going to be rolling 2 red dice plus another red die for my general standard ability. We raise her power up 1, which means she's going to be at 2 power, which means she immediately can gain a break token or a point token. We're going to go ahead and give her an additional break token, maybe. Yeah, let's do an additional break token up here. And then we can also re-roll 1 die, which is very nice. Okay, let's go for this. 1 break token, zeroes it out. We are successfully slaughtering the damned sergeant. So he is going to knock off the board. That is the next. That is 3 to the 5 that we need. Now, when this card is revealed, all mobs gain gang up plus 1. So, interesting. So gang up plus 1 is going to be the ability of they're all going to try to push us 1 space. So this one shoves me sideways. This one might step forward. That one might step forward. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Move towards the closest other mob in front, pushing a target before you X spaces along the shortest path. So everyone is stepping in slightly closer because everyone wants to be around you, because there's a mechanic here where if you get swarm, they're all gonna like take a jab at you and do a little bit of damage each. So we successfully wound. So we're gonna draw an AI for the closest mob, which means I wounded here, which means 2 is going to draw an AI card. Swarmiger. Closest engaged knight in range. That is going to be myself. Each hit does 2 damage, swarm 1, and knockdown. Fantastic. So we have 2 dice here that we're going to be rolling. Hopefully dodging on an 8+, which seems very hard to do. That is 1 successful dodge. I could get a heat to re-roll that, and I think she is going to go ahead and take a heat in order to re-roll that. 3 is still not going to be it, and I cannot re-roll that dice again. So we're going to be taking 2 damage, knocking her down by 2. She's going to be knocked down, gaining that status effect 1 more time. And then we're doing Swarm 1. This is what I was just telling you about. Swarm. Attack with this keyword, do X damage for each mob adjacent to the attacker, for each mob, other mob. So she is going to take 1 additional damage. Okay, fantastic. Okay. After attack, gang up 3. So I'm not sure if they're able to push knocked down characters, but because she's already adjacent to someone else, he doesn't want to push her anyway. So even if that was a thing, that would not resolve. So we've done all 3 of these standard characters now. Now let's activate Sir Sanch. Now, I did tell you that they all have their own abilities, so let's go ahead and read through his so you can get a taste of what everyone's main abilities sound like. So, Sir Sanch. Rush. I can spend both my activation and movement to, I would gain a heat, and I would move with 1 movement and melee reach attack with auto break 1. You must move at least 3 spaces and reach your target via the shortest path possible. So I get to like charge forward and get auto break 1. Now break is going to be a keyword that allows us to bypass and turn goblets into successful hits. It's not terrible. I like that. Then I also have Little Sir. Little Sir could go to war with me. Gain a heat, place 1 opening token on the knight pool, and place Little Sir token on the mob, or on the top boss, AI. If a card with Little Sir is discarded, move Little Sir token onto the next card. You may use this ability only if Little Sir token is not on a body part already. You regain the token once the body part with Little Sir is wounded at the end of the clash. Little Sir, the Scout Monkey. If Little Sir is on a body part, you may look at it for free. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 and utilize that. I should have a little monkey token over here, and I do, and I want to go ahead and place him down on... Let's go ahead and reveal one of these lower level ones, because it's good to have them revealed, because that means they won't escalate, they won't upgrade. Once we know what they are, they pretty much stay with what they are. Okay, now we need to go ahead and resolve our attack. So I'm going to attack straight forward at 3 here, which is one that I've already engaged with before. I am rolling with my broken sword, which is going to be 1 die, looking for a success. Now, do I have any modifiers? Gain 1 heat to place an opening or break token in the night pool. I don't need that right now. Gain 2 heat to place 2 tokens in the night pool. I can choose what they're going to be. When you attack, if Little Sir is on a card of the enemy, gain 2 heat to gain Deadly. Nice. Deadly is specifically... Let's check. Deadly. During an attack roll, you gain crit chance of 9 or 10 results instead. So what if we put Little Sir instead of here? I know I already revealed that, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. Put Little Sir on this to potentially get a crit result on 8s up. Because it's 2... Oh, no, 9 or 10. Because it's 2 heat to do that, though. I'm fine with that. That sounds like a fantastic trade-off, and this card is going to go into the delay pile. And I don't think I can buy anything else. So let's roll. Let's try to get this. 10. That's going to be a crit. That's our first crit, which I love. You may tip a weapon card and perform a bonus attack. That's awesome. Okay. So, although we're not near anyone where we get to perform a bonus attack. That would be epic if we were actually next to someone, but I think I have a card that allows me to step to the side. So let's check. So this card is going to be killed and knocked off. We get the Little Sir back. That goes over there. We're currently at 4. 1 more successful attack, and this would be a successful showdown. Cool. Okay, so do I have the ability to step to the side? Come on, where's my ability to step to the side? Was it this one? Gain 1 to move another, to make another knight move 1 space. Now, I'm not sure when other people can play their cards. I'm pretty sure that they can play them out of sequence. So, Kara here could spend 1 heat to make me move 1 step to the side, and then I would get to utilize my bonus attack with my broken sword, which means we're going to hopefully try to take out this guy. 5 is going to be, because 5, 6, 7, because we have enough point break tokens here. So we are going to be attacking number 5, which is this more powerful card here. 6 wounds. 6 wounds is what I need to resolve this scenario. Okay, let's try to do it. So we got 1 successful, 2 dice with a +2 modifier already. We're also going to be adding 1 additional red die. Okay, I think we can do this. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the goblets are going to transform because we have the break tokens that we need. Now, I'm not sure if the break tokens... Let me check this, because there's a chance they actually... during the power roll, every break token in the night pool allows you to turn 1 goblet into an attack. Now, I know they refresh and discard at the end of our activation round. I'm not 100% sure if they discard as you utilize them. We would have had other cards and heat that we could have manipulated to control for that. But either way, we are knocking off this last mob here, which is going to resolve the end of this fight, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successful, which is what we need. So at the end of this fight, we actually, the funny thing is, that is the end of one like mid-game mob spawn. The actual fight that we're going after is the Egg Knight. So now we would do a rest phase. We'd redraw our cards, we'd clear tokens off the board, we'd get a little bit of health. If any of us had been knocked out or killed, which shouldn't really happen at this stage of the game, we'd refresh to a certain part of our health. We'd lose some tokens if we had got knocked out. So there's a price that you pay for that. And then we reset and we begin the exploration phase, again, starting off from where I left off, which we're not going to do in this video because the point of this video was to show you the game kind of up and running and functioning to the best of my ability, of course. The next video we're going to do will be probably either the entire campaign from 0 through, or we'll probably do the second half of this, showing off the exploration phase and diving into the Egg Knight. And I'll likely do it with at least 2, if not 3 people, because the real charm in this game is going to be multiple people running multiple storylines and all sort of interweaving and colliding with each other. But that has been a first look, your initial opportunity to see exactly what's happening here in Kingdoms Forlorn, which I'm very excited about. Initial thoughts, like my initial impression so far, is I'm very compelled by a lot of this. The theme, the artwork, the story, the lore is drawing me in. I already want to find out about the characters. With this prototype, I specifically would like to have seen a solo dedicated mode instead of kind of the version that I came up with to share with you all, because it's too much for me to handle 4 characters, especially on camera, but even off camera. It's too much for me to handle 4 characters and follow all of their divergent pathways, because you really need to be invested in your single individual. But in terms of a game that creates an investment in that single individual, I think it does a really good job at that. You're looking out for yourself while still being part of an adventuring party. The AI and the Showdown systems are really going to be very close to Kingdom Death in a lot of the ways that they operate, except the 2 differences is going to be like the mob rule, where we have the main body part deck, both with the boss and with our minions here, which allows us to target and allows the game to escalate in an interesting way. We're targeting specific locations, kind of similar to the hit location deck, but here you're able to like pinpoint and continue going back at them time and time again, and you get a sense of how strong they might be. And the AI deck, I like the concept of, instead of a standard AI deck that gets whittled away, I like the way that this AI deck starts growing and escalating as you do better. Every time you successfully take someone out, that was something I was not doing. So one of the rules that I just realized I should have been incorporating, which might have changed something, might not have changed something, but every time I successfully took out one of our opponents, I should have been escalating this AI deck way faster than I was. I'll walk you through exactly how that works. So, every time I defeat someone, I need to go through this wound chart. So, over here, when I took out the baddie, or the body part, level 3, I should have searched the AI deck and the AI discard for the lowest level AI card and removed it from the game. If I remove a card from the discard pile, I shuffle it back in the deck. Shuffle an AI 3 card from the escalation deck into the AI deck. If there are no level 3 cards, the enemy gains 1 bonus per wound in the following order. So they start, let's take a look at one of these escalation 3 cards that I didn't end up doing. That's the baddie points. AI, escalation 3. Sword of Rusting. Target closest knight in range. 3 die to dodge. 9 damage. Each hit does 3 damage. For each hit, tap one of your gear. Oh, that's brutal. And then if we have 4 heat, petrify 1 gear slot. So this starts escalating way faster than I was showing it off. Now, I was able to, this is the easiest of the easiest mob in this entire game. I think I should have been able to manage it. And with all the coordination and stuff that you'll actually have on the table, it should be doable. But that's one of the cool things about this, is instead of a debuffing AI deck, you actually have everyone on the table is getting stronger, using abilities, updating their stats, and this game escalates in sort of a positive framework or positive way. So there you have it. A very rough, slightly choppy, certainly, probably significantly flawed first look at Forlorn Kingdoms. I'm excited. I'm excited to dive in. I'm excited that I know the game well enough now to teach Alex and to teach Shira and start really starting to dive into what this prototype has to offer and everything that we can show the community. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Thank you.